Hello, this is Dale Matthews, and I'm joined by Mike Jones.
Hey Dale, what are you
Hey.
smashing with that hammer? Is that like a big block of chocolate or something? I can't really see too well on your
No,
screen.
this is a gavel from
Oh,
like legal proceedings, and it is smashing something. I'm going to tell you what that something is later, but for now, let's just think of it as you could end up being smashed, or bad guys could end up being smashed, and let's be sure the right ones are under the gavel. Uh, I have
yeah.
Mike and I have been prowling the halls of power recently on your behalf, and we've been insisting that justice be done, and then they don't laugh quite as hard as they used to, and then we've actually been filing papers and stuff like that with legal meaning and etc. And we've been working hard for you. One of the things right away to talk about is the sales tax that's been put up by the city of Grants Pass. And
Right.
I believe that they've run afoul of the single subject rule. Single subject rule. It says in the Oregon
Hmm.
Constitution, Article 4, Section 1, under legislative power, initiative, and referendums. Subsection 2D. Oh, this is really interesting. An initiative petition shall include one subject only. One
Right.
subject only. Well, tell us a little bit about the three things that, Mike, that are on the ballot and the ballot language for the Grants Pass uh, uh, sales tax.
Yeah. Well, essentially, what they want to do is enact the 2% sales tax, which will apply to everything except unprepared food. Then they also say, in addition to that, we will rescind the balance of the public safety levy, $1.79 per thousand on homes in Grants Pass, and we will also rescind the balance of the water and sewer bill surcharge that funds jail beds. And so apparently that is three subjects, not one
Well,
subject.
when you look here and it says an initiative petition shall include one subject only, how many is that, Mike?
That is one. Yes, one.
One.
Yes.
And
And
Mike was just telling
yes.
you that this thing that they're putting out there includes three things: kittens, sunshine, and raising your taxes. Really?
Something like that. Yes.
Really? And so what we did is we put in this argument that if you want argumentative guys, that's us. We put in an argument saying, listen, okay, whether this is a good idea or a lunkhead idea, is it a single subject?
Right.
Doesn't seem to be. Now, we've got a lot of people that watch this show, more than you would think, who are putative lawyers. It sounds like I'm saying fugitive lawyers, and it's pretty close to that sometimes, but putative supposed lawyers. And they'll say, well, what you don't understand, Mr. Matthews, and I've got a PhD in something or other, an LLD and a LBJ, and I've got all these things. And one actually means 16, and black is white, and gray is brown, and so there's certain to be people. Well, what you don't understand about economic development, Mr. Matthews.
Yes. It
Yeah,
all
yeah, we've
sounds
been
bad to
lectured
me.
about that, right? But we will find out because we're actually going to get our day in court, and that's on your behalf and ours too. I live in the city. Mike does not, but we try to help if we can. I mean, there's people in Williams that have been unhappy, and I don't live there, and people in Cave Junction, and Mike doesn't live there, and people in Sunny Valley, and neither one of us live there, but we do care about our community. We care about people.
Well,
Yeah.
and this is a real good opportunity to point out that I would benefit directly from this sales tax passing if indeed it did get rid of that water and sewer bill thing and the $1.79 per thousand off your property tax bill. I would benefit from that. So I have property in the city, and that would directly benefit me in greater measure than not passing this sales tax would.
So
And,
why are you doing this then, Mike?
Well, because I think it's, listen, Grants Pass just barely crawling out of the hole that has been this, recession / mini depression. And, they're trying to get by. And now we're going to stand at the top of the hole with a baseball bat and beat them back down. That's what I think.
Nice analogy, Mike.
That's what I think this sales tax does, and I think that it's not beneficial to the city and ultimately the county as well. And so I'm against it.
That's what we mean when we say on this show a little inside baseball. Mike, people can get in touch with us if they wish to send us an email.
Right.
And you've written this down. He's written it down.
No, I have not written it down.
You said you were going to. You promised.
I said I was going to, but I lied. We had a conversation. We should have talked about that before the show. But Dale, what is that email address that people can contact us on?
I'm glad you asked, Mike. It's called nosalestax@grantspass.com. It's an email address. You can send us an email if you wish to. Oh, in fact, if you're in favor of the sales tax, go right ahead and send an email to nosalestax@grantspass.com. Tell us your opinion. And if we like your opinion, we'll read it. And if we don't, we'll throw it away. I mean, no, I mean, we're going to be fair to everybody.
Fair? Yeah. Wait a minute. Sure. And some of the stuff that doesn't agree with our position will probably be entertaining nonetheless.
We do it all the time. We're constantly saying, I loved seeing other people's opinions appear. And I, as many times said, all you need to do is put this up against that, and the people will decide which one of them is full of vim and vigor.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So that's part of what we did. What we've done is then, to say that again, is we served documents on some of our favorite people in this world. That would be the city manager of Grants Pass, and that's Aaron Kubik. It would be David Reeves. You have to say it like that. You don't just say David Reeves, you have to say David Reeves. He is assistant city manager. He's one of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse of the original group, where 3 of them were tossed out, buddy. And this guy is left. And you talk with some of the staff people there, they hate this guy. And that's bad when the staff.
Oh yeah, that's going to be great for the staff people.
Yeah, well, he's never going to know which ones. It's all of them. Okay, so and that's David Reeves, and then also Mark Bartholomew, who apparently told them to put on there that this is going to be just fine the way it is, and there's no challenges to this. Yeah, well, good luck. And Karen Frick, I like Karen. She is the city clerk, and so we gave that to each of them, and then we have filed that with the circuit court. And so we'll see whether the Oregon Constitution has a chance in Josephine County and in Grants Pass City.
And it's going to be heard in court this Friday, isn't it?
Well, I wasn't going to tell everybody that, but you big mouth just did.
Why not?
Yes, right. Okay. Yes, it's going to be heard. It's going to be down at JD's Bar and Grill this Friday. Yeah, we'll be there Friday, and we'll let you know how it goes. Mike has put in a request to be recognized as media. Okay, wait a second. I've got a graphic just for that. Mike has put in a request, not this one, a request to be recognized as media. and we'll see if the court, but they have for me in the past, and they always do. Always got somebody like Kurt Brust, so, not media, and then I say, well, you can go argue with the judge. So anyway, yeah, Mike has put in a request to be seen as media. We've got another thing that's been going on recently too, and Mike, you want to tell them about what we've done that actually made Simon here kind of go?
We put in a request for information regarding all of the emails for 2015 year to date, from to and from Simon Hare, Keith Heck, and Cheryl Walker.
Now, somebody before, people had said, well, you definitely get the ones to Cheryl Walker, because we know from sitting in the meetings that they talk about the fact that they've sent each other emails talking about, the way they're probably going to vote on something or giving their opinions that they're not supposed to do that. It's just that it's the law. They've just swore to uphold, that's all, that insists that when they are going to talk about these things and deliberate about these things, that they're supposed to do it in public. That's all. It's really simple. And past commissions have done this, not this group. They don't want to do that. We don't want to. And so they said, well, why don't you just put it in for Cheryl Walker? Well, one thing that we can be fairly certain of is now that we've put that in, they have X number of days to answer. I think it's 7 working days. They're not going to answer. They're just not going to. So then we'll put in another one saying, show cause why you have not answered our question. Well, if they absolutely have to, you can see Cheryl Walker or one of her guys sitting there, all day or into the evening, deleting emails. This is deleting emails. This is playing the piano. Okay, so they would be deleting emails. Gerbils can do this. Okay, so why are you asking for all 3? Because it's going to make it a little bit harder if they're sending emails back and forth. If somebody has to delete emails from Cheryl's account, from Simon's account, and from Keith's account, they're going to have to do an awful lot of work to hide. It's easier for them just to ignore us or laugh. You don't understand not economic development. You don't understand the open public meeting law, Mr. Matthews. Mike, do you?
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Right. Yeah, the open public meeting law. So yes, we put in a request for that, and there are a number of people who are pretty happy with the fact that we're asking them for the same kind of transparency that we've been asking of Cheryl Walker, that we've been asking of the NSA, that we've been asking of the governor, and asking of the governor's girlfriend, and got Lane County in $1 million worth of trouble. It was talked down from $1 million, but still, it cost those individual commissioners $20,000 each out of their own bank accounts, not your bank account, their bank account. They should not be doing that.
Yeah, listen, it ought to be understood. There's nothing malicious going on here. The whole point is that they are supposed to be transparent under the law, and this is just asking to see what we have a right to see.
And we know they've been doing it because they talk about doing it in public meetings. So there's no question that there's stuff there. If it turns out, well, there's absolutely, we've got nothing to hide. Well, by the time they're done, they'll have nothing to hide, right? Oh, look, 5 emails in a whole year. Well, how amazing is that? They talk about the fact that they share emails all the time. They're not supposed to do that. You saw the video where Cheryl was passing a note to Keith, and when asked for her explanation of it, she said, well, I was just trying to let him know how I was going to vote. Cheryl, that's what you're not supposed to do. You're supposed to talk about it in public. We insist on that. You've sworn an oath, oath keepers. She swore an oath that she would obey that, and she's not been doing that. They've not been doing it. So that's what we're asking for. And so the gavel is coming down on somebody. I saw Wally Hicks today. I went out to drop off the paper for Mike to be recognized as media for badcounty.com in the courtroom so that we could bring you that video. We don't know if the judge is going to say yes. We'll see. We'll find out. And he's always said yes to me. He may certainly reject Mike.
Yes.
There's no reason why he would reject Mike. He knows I'm kidding.
So he would have plenty of good cause to reject me, let me tell you.
Yeah. Okay. So I thought I'd just go like this at Wally. He maintains an open door policy. Isn't that amazing? Cheryl would like to wall that off. She said so, but it's not happening. Anyway, he happened to be sitting in there with Dennis Dixon. And I was, oh, hi. And he said, oh, come on in, come on in. I said, okay. So I said, I just want to let you know what happened at today's little backroom meeting. I said, you've instructed the commissioners that they really should not break the law. He's like, yeah, I have. And I said, well, here's what happened today. They had one thing listed on the agenda, which we're going to talk about. And right after they were done with that, Keith brings out a list, an agenda of other items he'd like to talk about. You're supposed to tell us what items you're going to talk about. Even if we can only sit there and watch you, you're supposed to tell us. It's part of the state law. He's made that clear to them. You must list your items. You can't just come in with well, it's not an agenda. It says agenda at the top of the page. I don't know if his did, but it has in the past. And you're not supposed to have a secret agenda with all the meanings of that, okay? So he's reading from his secret agenda. And on one of the items, it really doesn't matter what the item was. On one of the items, he says, well, this ought to be done right away. And Cheryl says, well, I make a motion. Now, what is happening here? They have something on their agenda that's not listed, and they're about to take a vote on something that wasn't even listed. This is like doubly or triply against the law, if there is such a thing. Don't do that. What's the matter with you guys? And Wally's like, So he said, well, I think he was changing. He said, what do you got there? And I said, well, this is about this is an appeal about the issue with the city sales tax. And he looks at me and he says, single subject rule. You are right, sir. He knows what their I didn't even tell him. He knows what the city's most vulnerable spot is on this. He knew already what we had pointed out.
Well, I guess he looked at it or something.
Well, that's possible, or he just knew where their most vulnerable spot was and figured we'd go after that. We have. We're doing that for you. You can send us an email to Mike.
Yeah. Listen, you got it written down in front of you. Here, I'll write it down this time when you say it.
No.
Yes.
And everybody, please, all in unison.
Yes.
No
everybody write it down.
No sales tax at grantspass.com. I tried to pick an easy one.
Yeah, no, it's plenty easy. It's just you're talking to, hey, the one subject rule. I have one of those. My brain only handles one subject at a time.
Okay, now we're going to change the subject. Oh, no. Okay.
Oh, my God.
We're going to change the subject to what this is about. What is this gavel actually hammering? That's marijuana.
Oh, it is, huh? Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay.
It looked like a block of chocolate that's been hit by the hammer a couple of times.
It's chocolate.
That's how well I see, Dale.
It's chocolate covered marijuana. Oh, speaking of that, this I think it's interesting. Under the new Grants Pass sales tax, this to show you how brilliant these guys are. Truly brilliant. You can buy peanuts and there's no sales tax. But if those peanuts are covered in chocolate, there's a sales tax. You can buy pretzels, and there's no sales tax. But if those pretzels are dipped in honey or something, honey dipped pretzels, sales tax.
Yes.
Not while you're standing there. If they're prepackaged,
I have
Mike?
one aisle at Bimart that I can't resist. I walk through, and it has these little round plastic containers with double dipped chocolate peanuts in those. And of course, whenever I buy those, I've eaten 8 or 10 of them by the time I get home.
Yes,
Uh,
what I was going to ask you. Do any of them manage to get home?
oh no, they do, because I mean it's a large container, and you'd
Oh,
be
a large. Oh, you get a large container and take
yes.
that home, right?
Yes,
And there were no survivors.
it's the only insurance I could have that some of them actually would make it home. But I guess how long do chocolate dipped peanuts store for? Will they remain
Is anyone
fresh
ever?
for?
No one's ever going to know, Mike.
Yeah,
Who would ever
yeah.
know how long they really last? Come on now, let's be realistic.
No, because I'm saying, if they pass the sales tax, I may have to stock up on them.
The only way I would ever find out is if it fell on the floor and I accidentally kicked it and then found it several months later.
Right. Yes.
Which is not entirely impossible at my house. Yeah. Okay. But when Jack was living with me, Jack was my cat. Stop it. When Jack was living with me, he would find it. You could believe that he would. Oh yeah, yeah.
I have dogs that find everything.
Yes. Okay, so we are going to play back some of the wit and wisdom of everyone but Simon Hare, talking about this. Is Wally Hicks is there, the planning department head guy is there, and Cheryl and Keith, and they're talking about ordinances. Talk about ordinances, and they get pretty excited, buddy. It's ordinance time, and they want to make new ordinance. They have no idea about how to perhaps make marijuana more profitable for anybody, or really, the moral implications. They're not talking about that either. They're talking about regulation, buddy. So let's listen, and Mike will just have to cut in any time that you wish to, sir. Any time that Mike wishes to. So you'll see. Go ahead.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, Mr. Walker. Good morning. So thanks. I asked to have this added to the general discussion as basically a chance for the board to pick up where it left off regarding marijuana issues and update you on some of the inquiries that's been coming into the county office, principally through planning, and to just kind of give you a chance to talk about this issue and provide us with some guidance.
I got a question.
Yes, sir.
What does the planning guy have to do with marijuana issues?
Really good question. That's an excellent question, Mike. You're soon going to find out.
Oh, geez. Okay, here we go.
So be so inclined. I was thinking, to give you a little perspective, I would just read you a couple of redacted emails that are coming from citizens to give you a sense of the kind of questions people are asking, and give you just a notion of what people are wondering and what we're wondering too. So here's one that came in. This is from a citizen that I actually know. That I won't impart his name. This is redacted, like I said, but and he says this. He says, I have a few questions. This came in July 29th. To planning. I have a few questions regarding where a dispensary can be located. I know that the city will not allow them, and I was told that Jackson County will not be allowing them to be directly off of I-5. Is Josephine County going to allow them off of Interstate 5? How far out of the city limits do I have to be?
Hey, pause for a second, Mike.
Will you be making it a $1,000 buffer zone between shops? Will you be making it?
Yes, sir.
Pause for a second. A couple of things I found interesting about this was, in Jackson County, they're not going to allow you to have some kind of shop directly off of I-5. What?
Yeah. What part of Medford is not directly off of I-5?
And what's this danger about people driving down the I-5 corridor and really?
Oh my God! There's a marijuana shop across.
Let's turn around and go home. Yeah.
Yeah.
What kind of, you're going to hear another really goofy rule from Jackson County, but really, it can't be close to I-5. So of course, it's like the rule of when you're looking for a banana, no matter which side of the banana you open first, when you're looking for a banana, you have to go through all the rest of these aisles to get to the items that you really want.
So maybe.
they're
Right.
going
If
to
you want some marijuana, you're going to have to go buy Taco Bell, and you'll go, hey, there's Taco Bell. And on the way back from getting your marijuana,
Oh, you're definitely going to want to stop
at Taco
a
Bell.
second time.
And then,
Yes.
that's
right.
it. Or Red Robin or whatever, Yes.
There you go.
That's economic development.
You don't understand. You don't. I knew him when. I said, what was that line? You didn't know Jack Kennedy. I knew Jack Kennedy. Whatever that line was.
Yeah, Jack Kennedy was a friend of mine.
That's right. That's right. Exactly right. That's right. Okay. All right. Let's keep playing. And I wasn't sure this was going to be interesting at all. I'm tired of marijuana, but I'm hearing about it. Come on. But this was kind of interesting about their perspective and why is the planning director there? Let's hear more.
The half mile that Jackson County has passed. Any information would be greatly appreciated. Thank you. And then Mr. Black replied, in essence, he says, to date, Josephine County has not developed any specific restrictions on dispensaries. And he says, so I don't have answers to your questions, at least the county development's restrictions. And then he says, I can tell you that from a zoning point of view, it appears rural commercial zones will be the only place in which a dispensary may be placed. Of course, the location will be subject to state restrictions, 1,000 feet from schools, etc. Farm, forest, residential, aggregates, serpentine, industrial zones do not allow such use. Here's another example of an email that came in from a citizen that says, she says, hi Wally, thank you for your time this morning. To recap, we are looking for a cannabis location to have a closed loop dispensary, meaning not open to the public. We need this in the OMMP program for compliance. Also, we manufacture cannabis oil for the dispensaries in the state. We will bring 35 to 50 jobs to your area with our company location, not to mention local ancillary businesses. I'm on the OLCC advisory board and have been working politically with the Oregon Growers Association for the state of Oregon. And then she says the property is zoned rural commercial. I have an offer in and have 3 weeks for due diligence. So I would love to move to Josephine County if I can get the okay from the county. Please let me know what you think. And again, thanks for your help. And so this is the kind of thing that citizens have been asking us directly. And to be blunt, we don't have any answers. And so I can provide you with these for your okay, get the idea.
If you give me a copy of them later.
Okay, happy to.
There was this other example too. Here we have an actual file here because somebody's paid a fee for land use compatibility statement here. They've got an RR5 zone. And they want to know whether or not they can grow cannabis on part of their property. And what we've tried to let them know is that yeah, we can take your money and we can give you a ruling here, but this is not the land use compatibility statement that OLCC will be requiring. They haven't even developed the form. They haven't started their process. And so we're in this kind of situation of, well, do we take people's money and give them a statement just simply with the disclaimer that you may be doing this again in 6, 8 months, whatever it is.
Stop for a minute, please.
Yeah, because there's a lot more of this left, and this is a very interesting thing. You know what? He just told you, people, that they don't have anything on the books, so don't bother giving him any money because they will take your money and just tell you, well, we don't have anything on there, and then and then you're going to face some other hurdle later on. So don't bother.
That's right. That's right. And look, there's a couple other things that need to be said. Sorry for those of you who know everything. You should be doing your own show. RR5 is rural residential. Okay. And OLCC is Oregon Liquor Control Commission. And what he's saying here is the Oregon Liquor Control Commission, liquor control, whatever. They don't.
Well, they're going to be they're going to be the regulating agency on the marijuana thing.
They don't have any rules. They thought that they would by now, but they don't. Okay. And they're, maybe they've been partaking a little too much, but they haven't gotten around to it. They put it off. And so what's Josephine County going to do? Well, Josephine County could say, as this guy is saying, okay, here's the more benign side of what he's saying is, yeah, we'll give you a ruling, but this ruling may change. Okay, look, we all know that the ruling may change. We all know that. Now, do you want to do business under Josephine County aegis for 6 to 8 months and then later have, or are you going to sit and wait? I think I'll sit and wait. Are you kidding me? Of course you're going to want to do some business right now, aren't you?
Yeah, I tend to think that you'd have a pretty good case. I don't know how much of a how much clout they would have in telling you, well, now that you've set up this operation, you've spent 250 grand here, you can't do business there. Right. Well, you know what? When I set this up, there was no law, and you were no help in that department when I asked you about a law in it. And so I went ahead and did this. So now if you want to stop me, I would expect to be some lawsuits behind that, and they would probably come in with some sort of a grandfather rule or something like that.
Especially by that time, there's going to be so much money involved in this. Good luck and just steamrolling over people and saying, you set up a shop where you're going to make curling supplies, and I'm not talking about for your hair, like for Canadian, whatever that thing is.
Right. Yeah. Yes.
This is going to be a little more popular than some Canadian sport. Okay. Yeah. Good luck.
Well, here's an interesting thing. The other day I was looking for, I wanted to find a good source of buckets because I'm going crazy into these hydroponic tomato stuff. And so I wanted to find, about 20, 30 of these buckets that I can make what's called a Dutch bucket out of. It's I could go into great detail, but I won't. So while I was doing that, somebody had listed something about buckets or planter pots, combined with a greenhouse they were selling. And so I got on this page. It had a whole bunch of greenhouses on it. And it turns out not only were there, people selling greenhouses, but there was a lot of people looking for greenhouses.
Oh.
And I thought, wow, that's very interesting here in Josephine County. And so that, or they wanted space in a greenhouse, and they made it very clear that what they were doing in there is that, I want to grow some marijuana. And so there's going to be more of that going on around here. And there's going to have to be some answers in terms of, property regulation in that department too, I would think.
They are not. You can hear from this, and you can hear from every conversation that they have. They're not looking for a way to stimulate economic development. They're looking for a way to regulate economic development. That, to me, is the bottom line. Go ahead and keep playing the video.
From our perspective, we would probably be giving the same answer. So if it gives them some degree of comfort that they are going to get the same answer whenever LLCC develops their process, I guess that has some value to it. But and then Robert Rice is frequently dealing with issues on electric service.
I saw that.
People, requesting 300 amp service to a vacant piece of property. And, it is clearly because people intend to have a grow operation going on.
Hey, Mike, stop again, would you please?
You're too.
Sorry to keep stopping this thing. Look, Robert Rice he's the building safety guy, okay, for the county. What are they saying here?
I thought he was that short little economics guy.
Yeah, that's the other Rice. No, it's Condoleezza Rice.
That's Rice. Right. Rice, that's right. Okay.
Condoleezza Rice's husband. So, here in this case,
Robert Rice, from the Clinton administration.
I know. I'm kidding. I'm also kidding. Okay, so Beans and Rice. Yeah, that's his dog's name.
Right. Yes. Right.
We're talking about people who are buying up vacant lots. Hello, yes. In an area where they've got closed down stores. I really need a vacant lot, and I want to have 300 watts coming in there and all the rest of it.
300 amps.
300
Yes.
amps. That
300
makes more
watts,
sense.
300 watts wouldn't get you very far.
Much, right? It wouldn't do much,
You,
right?
you can't even run a hair dryer with a 300 watt service.
Right, it's 300
Yes.
amps. Okay, so, and they're looking for this, and these guys are, well, what are we going to do? This isn't good. Nobody looks happy about the fact that people are buying up vacant lots and want to run all this power in there. Did you remember from an earlier video we showed where it's good to have a memory about this, where Simon Hare was saying, well, I don't know, we might need to be concerned about the ability of the power company to deal with all this extra business. Are you kidding me?
Oh, for crying out loud! Listen, the power company will make sure they have enough power to give to everybody. I mean,
but this is a problem. How is this a problem?
How do they power big cities? We're worried about here in Grants Pass, Oregon, them not having enough power to bring in. I think we'll be fine.
What other industry do we have where you're worried? Is there going to be enough power? Do we have enough vacant lots? Are there going to be enough electricians in our area? No. What are we going to do when people want to have answers about how to build stuff? Why, let's put regulations on it because that's going to slow it down. What the heck are you talking about?
Yes.
Are you crazy?
No, they wouldn't be worried about, listen, the lighting inside Walmart, that's drawing a lot of power. And I don't think if another big store, Winco, for instance, moved in here, they wouldn't worry about whether or not Pacific Power had enough wattage or amperage to supply them. It's silly, but listen, we heard just this weekend, there are a number of people who don't like the idea of having marijuana they don't like the idea of,
they grew up with it being illegal. I grew up with it being illegal.
Yes,
and times change.
Okay, but here's the point. They have the right to have whatever their opinion is about whatever they think of the morality of marijuana. It's totally fine for them to think that. And it's totally fine for them to try to regulate it out of existence if they want to. But these people are part of that. And listen, this whole thing is going to hash itself out. The cow has left the barn.
It's going to hash
That's
itself
my opinion.
out? Oh, please.
Yes, it will. It will. It'll hash itself out. Right. And among other things.
Only 2 people in our audience know why that's a joke. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Or you think more?
I'm guessing more. Listen, it's funny because if you're 60 now, you were a young person when marijuana was the up and coming popular thing that basically everybody did. So, I think they know something about marijuana.
Well, I imagine there's a few people from the 20s who knew a little bit, and if
yes,
they listened jazz music at all, they knew a little bit about reefer.
Yes, and some of them probably had reefer madness. Anyway, no, I think that and some of the people that are anti-marijuana now are anti-marijuana because of the experiences they had as a young person. It didn't go well for them, and I get that. I totally get it.
My brother was my brother, okay, and it didn't go well for him. I totally understand that, but you don't see that. Usually, you don't see the same kind of fervor about alcohol. Mm-hmm. Alcohol has been devastating to the history of my family, going back a couple of generations, and to a lot of families, okay? And you don't see people like Carrie Nation, carrying a hatchet and stuff, and going after all of this or trying to stop this, okay? But it's going to be too smelly. Well,
yeah, you know what? My thing is that, I personally don't want to smoke it myself. I don't want my children smoking it. But the bottom line is I come from sort of a libertarian minded way of thinking about this, in that, if you're doing what you're doing and you're not bothering somebody else, who am I to tell you, what to do or not to do? And I tend to think that, there may be an uptick in usage behind this sort of thing, and I think that is all going to work itself out. I don't really think that this is the end of the world. That some people think that it is. So I don't know. I think there's life after marijuana legalization, and I'm not. I won't ever be a smoker of it, and
No,
you
me
know.
either. But look, there's going to be a craze at the beginning, and some of the people are going to stick in there, and some people are not. It's going to be too much work for some people, or their crops are going to die for no apparent reason. And they're going to say, "Hey, yeah." But there was back when my dad was young, there was a uranium craze. Everybody was looking for uranium. Well, that's not still happening. There was obviously in this county a gold craze, Gold Hill. They were all looking for gold. Okay, it's not like all the gold is, when you die and get a chance to look back, it'll turn out that you find in your backyard was a whole deposit of gold that you never knew about. I want to know that kind of stuff. But look, these things are going to come and go. There's probably going to be approximately the same number of people who are smoking marijuana now as were smoking marijuana. They were doing it illegally. Now a lot of it's going to come out in the. It's not going to come out in the sunshine. Not if Grants Pass has anything to do with that.
Yeah, but all over the county this will be going on, and so.
Yeah, but what would happen if, let's suppose that there was, off the top of my head, there was a craze for miniature cattle. They're so cute, and they make wonderful burgers. Okay, so then all these people, they're growing miniature cows. Miniature cows are going to be stinky. Okay, but it's a craze, and we have the best miniature cows in the whole United States. Okay, now, but I don't want one next to me. I came here to retire, and I don't like change. That's the big deal. I don't like change, and it's change because it's going to smell like cows next door. Probably will. Okay, but not once a few of those cows die off, your neighbors won't be doing it anymore. They're not going to, and the market glut here. And then, but then now we're talking about traded sector. Oh, no, not the evils of traded sector where you grow it here and sell it elsewhere and bring in their money. Oh, not that. Oh.
Nobody needs more of your tax money more than California. And soon they will be legalizing this too. Under the same type of thing is going to be going on down there. And then maybe Idaho and Nevada will do it. And then we're not the only game in town. And so there will be, I don't think this is going to be nearly as big a deal as people worry that it will be.
The thing that gets me, though, is listening to, here's this person from out of state sending them a letter. We'd like to come there and get 35 to 50 jobs. It's a closed system. We'll only be selling to people who, we're not going to open it up to the public in general. Closed system. Did these guys go, whoa, 35 to 50 jobs like they did with Taylor Sausages, like they did with Rough and Ready? Oh, no. No, they're not talking with excitement of 50 jobs, says Simon here. Wow, Rough and Ready. No, they're not. They're looking for a way. Well, what are we going to do about this?
50 actual jobs.
Yes.
Not the fake kind that they get with this economic development BS.
Plaque on a rock.
Plaque on a rock. But the no, and there are a group of people right now working on legislation to stop marijuana processing from taking place in the county, and that is where you take marijuana and turn it into other things. And what they were talking about there was they have they make oil and stuff from it. Well, that would be shut down if such an ordinance passed in the county. So and which may happen, and their idea behind it is that this will slow down some of this stuff from coming into this area, and they'll just take and go over to Jackson County with their
slow down what stuff
oil.
Coming into this area? Money stuff? You mean that kind of green stuff?
No. What they want is less of the marijuana culture and the the influence from the industry that comes with that in this county. And that's, listen, you can go whichever way you want to go on that. And they're worried about, hippies taking over county government. And,
what
whatever.
What happens?
I don't know. Listen,
What happens to most people who are using marijuana on a regular basis when they're between 18 and 35? Sure, they smoke a lot of it. What happens to those people once they get to 45, 55, and etc.? Well, some of them keep smoking. Okay, we both know people like that. But most
Yes,
of
we
them
do.
kind of attenuate, they get off of that a little bit, and they sort of
Right.
turn into entrepreneurs. Most of them that I know sort of turn into entrepreneurs. Okay, what do we got a surfeit of, too many of? We've got a lot of older people here. It's not a whole bunch of younger people that stay. Well, this is one way to make them stay. Oh, I hadn't thought of that. No, we've got a but. So I predict. Oh man, Dale, you're just so wrong. You just don't know how wrong you are. I predict that we're going to see more profit than we are profits going up, and traded sector business, a lot more of that from something that a lot of people don't really want to see, but it is economic development, the thing that I don't understand, and less daily use of it. We're not going to see runaway people just, oh, I don't feel like working today. They're not working anyway.
Yes. Yeah, I don't really know about this. I do think, there are some people that don't like marijuana, and some of those people have a pretty solid case for some of the negative effects of marijuana.
Yes.
There are some legitimate negative effects
Yes.
that occur to some people behind marijuana usage, and that's their push for that. And
my
so I don't
grandfather was
know.
killed by a tractor, and so I don't like the tractor industry. No tractors in Josephine County.
Yes, something like that. Anyway, we were watching a video, and
Yes, I think
and
that we
we're
were.
talking
Yeah,
about-
stop interrupting me.
Yes. All right, here we go.
Frontline departments are already being, questioned about what can we do and all that. So those are just some.
So the electrical service is going to vacant property, so they haven't even applied for any kind of facility in that property.
Right.
And Robert drafted a policy extracted from some past policies, and I think he's given it to us to take a look at so that we coordinate, and I forwarded it to Wally so that he was aware of what was going on. But obviously it's going to have to come to the board. The board's going to have to make policy as to, well, what do you want to do on this thing here?
Well, the big red flag that went up to me is the rural residential. In my view, no way. I mean, that was one of the complaints we've had over the last couple of years, is people calling in and saying, I have a rural residential 5 acres. We built our, lovely home here to retire, and then on both sides of us, rural residential, people just planting marijuana, and it's supposed to be a rural residential. It's no longer a farm. Maybe it was farm at one time, maybe it was forest at one time, but now it's residential. Now it's supposed to be a commercial grow.
There's a fair amount of communication going on between county planning directors. They were engaged with the AOC lobbyists, in the process of HB 3400, but clearly that didn't answer everything. But I can share some of that information with you, is that what county planning directors are talking about, and they're, 3400 answered a number of things, but it left a number of things unanswered, and specifically, some of the planning directors in counties who lobbied for leaving certain things unanswered so that it could be solved at the local level, that you would have that discretion to go ahead and say, okay, you said we've got to allow grows in farm and forest, but in these non-resource zones, you still have some flexibility as to say what you can or can't do. So those are
providing that if there is a policy developed locally, that then the state is going to come in and say, no, we're going to do this different. And to me, that's the big aggravation, because there is no clear, definitive standard of what is ours, what is theirs, who is regulating what, 1,000 feet of schools. Okay, that's a standard. Whether I agree with it or not, that's a standard. What are the standards for these other items, these other issues? And that does not seem to be a standard. It seems to be in flux. And as soon as then you start to kind of come up with some local standard, then you find out, no, that needs to be tweaked and looked at in this way now. And so that's sort of your hands, you say, forget this.
Well, what I am thinking about this and reading it over repeatedly is that if we can stick as close as possible to the state standard, you know, which is it can be grown in farm and forest. They didn't provide for rural residential, and the complaints I have had have been from people living in rural residential. Like, yeah, they got, you know, 48 pot plants next door, and the other side has, you know, 24, and I'm trapped in the middle, and this is supposed to be a residence. You know, so to me, that is just something that we should not allow in rural residential. That is just, I mean, those people have an expectation when they bought it to have a rural residence. It's not a farm, certainly not a marijuana farm in their mind when they bought it. So I think in sticking with the, yeah, you can grow it in your farm and forest. You know, that's where agricultural crops are typically grown, farm and forest zones, and it's an agricultural crop now.
Yes.
You know, so you know that you can do that. When it comes to the commercial businesses, whether it's a dispensary for retail, wholesale type of business in the county, we have rural industrial and rural commercial zones. And I think that, you know, the state doesn't allow farm stands for marijuana, so I don't think we should either. I think we should keep it in industrial and commercial zones. You know, we have those throughout the county, in all parts of the county, and that's where they should be limited, so that somebody's not selling it out of their back porch or trying to sell it out of a farm stand in the backyard or the garage or whatever, or trying to come in and convince dentists that they've got this, you know, this retail thing that they want to do out there, and it's not an industrial or commercial zone. I think that, to me, when you're talking about an enterprise, I mean, would we allow somebody to come in that says, yeah, we're going to put a farm stand out here, and we're going to be selling all of our farm crops, but also we're going to be selling something else. So then you've got a retail trade going on the side of a road on somebody's residential property. We wouldn't do that for anybody else, whether it's marijuana or something else. Now, farm stands are allowed, but the state has said no farm stands. So, you know, we will just, in my view, just stick with that. You know, no farm stands for marijuana, and I mean, I'm giving my opinion here, but that if it's an industrial or commercial, that's okay. That way, it keeps it in line with what the state has already said, and if they change it along the way, if we're already kind of sticking with it, we can make adjustments if they do easier than if we go out there and say, oh yeah, you can put your marijuana shop out here, and you know, never mind that it's zoned for something else. And rather than rural industrial or rural commercial.
Well, some of what how we could address this is what Robert is developing is policy, and I think, you know, board can, you know, affirm that policy. But some of what you're talking about is actually changing the land use regulations, so we're going to have to do that by ordinance. It's not too soon to start generating some. It's like, you know, the one thing was questioning about separation on dispensaries. Okay, the guidance from state is that 1,000 feet from schools, and they fairly well define what qualifies as a school. Yeah. But they didn't address in state regulation separation between dispensaries. In other words, can you have one, you know, a whole row of dispensaries? Other jurisdictions, like Jackson County, is saying, well, you have to be a half mile separated from dispensaries. Is there anything magic about?
There's Jackson County again. They say their dispensaries must be 1,000 feet from each other. Really?
Yeah, that's odd. Why?
That's arbitrary. What's the rule? Why is that a rule?
Well, you quite often
I don't want the stuff,
you know,
come on.
2-3 jewelry stores right around one another. Why does there need to be 1,000 foot? And listen, I don't care, but you know, I just wonder about what is the logic behind it? Why the 1,000 feet?
between dispensaries, which are really sort of glorified
Right.
drugstores. Yeah, I mean,
They're just stores. They're just stores that sell marijuana. You know, I mean, listen, this is what this stuff is going to come down to. It's just a store that sells marijuana. Oh, but don't sell that at a farm stand. You can't do that.
yeah, what's this about a farm stand? Let's suppose that some guy has a wife that does, well, it could be the other way around, but she does a lot of crocheting and stuff like that, okay? And occasionally people buy this from her. Let's suppose the guy is the kind of guy that grows tomatoes hydroponically, and you know, nothing wrong with that. Oh, but you're
Yes.
running a business out of your home. Well, and don't try to put up something where, you know, what, like a lemonade stand, a farm stand. Don't you be doing that now, because you're going to run afoul of our really.
Okay. So where are they going to get all the money to enforce all of this stuff?
Ah, there's a really good question. You know,
Yes.
what this
gonna be
really
tricky.
is, what are we looking at here? We're looking at runaway development. Runaway development? Oh, boy, we just can't have that. We're looking at people who are trying to snap up vacant properties, and bring in electricity, and we got to stop that. What? You don't understand economic development, Mr. Matthews.